All right, question of the day. What is your favorite superhero game? Now, for a while there, we pretty much just had Sentinels and Multiverse and DC, the deck building game. But now we're just lousy with all sorts of games right here. Because today we're taking a look at Marvel DAGGER. This is the Defense Alliance for Global Galactic Emergency Response. Thank goodness BGG took the periods out as well. But this is a globe-trotting adventure all about being Avengers and other heroes, Alpha Flight involved, in which you are going around the globe and rescuing and saving and fighting and doing missions and doing heroic missions, which will get you stuff. In order to defeat the ultimate foe, you've got Loki, Thanos, Ultron, Red Skull in the base set. Obviously, this will probably expand. Now, just so you know, my voice is completely shot because I just got off a 20-day tour, essentially all over the place, and doing shows every single day, and a lot of them, and my voice is wrecked. So just know that's why it sounds so rough. It's not because I woke up and just immediately came in here and did this. I did not. I've already been to the gym, dropped off the kids at school. So let's take a look at Marvel DAGGER, and we will come back up, talk final thoughts. Okay, this is Marvel DAGGER. Now, it's not set up, but I wanted to show you the components. The reason I'm not going to do a full setup and full teach is because, and normally this is not available, but Fantasy Flight has done an incredible job doing a how to play video for this game. Again, don't have the lights in here yet. I'm going to add some upper lights to reduce these shadows a little bit, but just, you know, this spider crawling off the head. Anyway, I want to show you the main ideas and components, so it will be more of an overview than what I did in the roundup, but less of an overview than what they do in their how to teach video. The three most important things, obviously you've got your characters and markers and things like this, and they are not acrylic, they're cardboard, and they're not two-sided. That will come into play later, but it makes sense why they're not two-sided, but I would love to have seen acrylic, but again, price point, I get it. So first and foremost, you have your villains over here, your nemesises. You have Nemesi? Oh, somebody help me with that. You've got Red Skull, Ultron, Thanos, and Loki. Now, they all play different, but they all play similar in a certain way. Now, they're going to have mission cards that you're going to need to mix into the event and mission deck, and things will come out, and you have to take care of those things. Now, let me just say from the get-go, this is a lot like Eldritch Horror. You're going around doing actions, you're taking care of things on the board, and then you're taking care of these missions. The missions will go in those slots over there on the left. Some will be side plots, some will be side quests, some will be heroic missions where you have to take care of them in order to unlock a certain power. You know, your character does something that allows them to get a better ability, and that is such a cool mechanic. So you have these, you'll fight, and you'll roll a dice based on what shows up here. When they attack and activate, they'll do certain things. Now, obviously, they play different, but you'll then fight them for the final showdown. When you flip this over, that feels like Arkham Horror 3rd edition now, maybe 2nd edition too, but I know 3rd edition had that. You'll flip this over and you will fight to beat Loki or Thanos or Ultron or Red Skull in however way you have to. And obviously the difficulty of these characters or what you need scales per player count. So it's not necessarily difficulty, but it definitely scales based on player. Second most important thing, and this is the coolest mechanic I've seen in a long time. You pick your hero, right? Your hero has abilities, but they aren't necessarily linked with how you're going to play because that comes with these roll cards over here, the heroic aspects and all that. So what's great about this is these are legacy style characters. Now you notice I'm flipping through, you're like, Black Panther, Shuri, where's T'Challa? Well, right here on the back. So what happens is you're going to choose whichever hero you want to play as, and then you're going to choose whichever side you want to play as. So let's say you go, okay, I want to be Spider-Man. Well, if you play Spider-Man Peter Parker and he happens to get wounded, which is based on your health count here, you then take everything off the board of Peter Parker's and flip it over, and now you're Miles Morales. So you're passing the mantle. Daredevil, you've got Elektra. Thor, you've got Jane Foster and Thor. Black Panther is Shuri. Captain America, any guesses? It is in fact Falcon, but it's the Captain America version of Falcon, which is awesome. War Machine, obviously. Iron Man. Hulk, Red Hulk, nope, She-Hulk. Captain Marvel, you've got the Photon, is that right? That doesn't sound right. Maybe it is. Monica Rambeau, and then obviously Carol Danvers over here. You've got Yelena, and then obviously Natasha. You've got Sorcerer Supreme, Stephen Strange, and it says Jericho Drum. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is this Brother Voodoo in comics? I feel like it is, because based on HeroClix, we've already talked about Spider-Man, we've already talked about that. So you'll pick these characters. Now, they have actions on them associated. Some of them just have powers that are available. Plus team-up powers. Some of these team-up powers will give you team-up track right here, which is something that is a collective resource that can be spent amongst the characters to use these abilities, and others will give you those team up powers and others will cost them. If it has a circle next to it, it means it's an action, so you'll have to take one of your activations per round and sit it on here to activate this character. The other thing are these rolls. You have these amazing rolls that you're going to combo with your characters. Now they are flipped front and back only because once you flip it, they become damaged and determined, or that is determination, but they become injured. So you flip this over and then you get the, once you flipped over once and then you become damaged again or injured again, you only have one round to get to the final showdown. That is very reminiscent of the older Eldritch games. Now on here, you also have the other actions, things like move, fight, defy, and rest. So essentially move is going to let you move. If you boost it, because you have a couple boost tokens, you can move a little further based on what it is. Now only certain roles have certain things highlighted to boost, which is pretty great because it really shows you need a varied type of cast. Everybody can't be the main fighter. Everybody can't be the main support character. Everybody can't be the main leader. And so with these roles, each character you take is going to benefit from the abilities of that role. Now, that being said, some characters obviously benefit better from being a certain role. Like Thor is a great fighter, so it'd be good to give him aggression, or Hulk aggression, because you can move better and you can fight better. Some people can rest better. And what you're going to do, you're going to get cards out here that are going to boost your characters. And essentially, they're going to be things that allow you to charge them up, and once they're charged you can flip them over and use them. But you're also going to fight the enemies. Now the enemies are going to have health here, and it's going to tell you which enemies to get based on the set you're playing. So if you're fighting Loki or Thanos or Ultron or Red Skull, you're going to get different enemies. Now some of these are going to be regular, just normal enemies, but some of them are going to be level 1, level 2, level 3, and then I can't remember, I think it's a foe or whatever it's called. But take this card for instance. So on the back is when you can use it. If you've charged it, you need to get 4 charge on this, and then you can flip it over and use its ability. You may exhaust this card to prime each enemy. Now, priming, it would be things like focus in any other Fantasy Flight game. You can prime an enemy and you can empower, I believe it's called, your characters. And certain abilities will allow you to do better stuff if an enemy's primed or if you have that focus ability on your character. The different places on the board are numbered because it will spawn at certain locations. You'll also place a moving, well, it's not moving, but it's a location that is only, can be set at a different place, and it will count as the regions. You have the different regions here, and certain mission cards, certain villain cards, certain enemy cards will talk about regions. Also, Asgard is not available unless the Bifrost is out there, and Asgard is adjacent to wherever the Bifrost gets out there. So if you're not playing with Thor, it doesn't come into play a whole lot, especially if you're not playing Thor and Loki, but it's there, and it's an ability in Thor's hero mission relies on that. You have the Nemesis missions up top. If you were able to finish the Nemesis missions, because again, you're going to shuffle the 3 Nemesis missions into the rest of the mission deck, and certain things will spawn missions, certain things will spawn enemies, certain things will hurt you. You will then collect those. If you pass, you'll stick them up top and show that you passed. If you fail, you show you failed, and it makes the final countdown a little bit easier, thankfully. Also, you have some support cards, which are things that allow you to help your character. So Stark, obviously, after a hero rolls a dice, you may exhaust this card to add 2 tack to the result. So you can boost your dice, you can boost your rolls, you can do all sorts of things like that. There's a lot of enemies, there's a lot of options. It's very Marvel feeling. It's also very Eldritch feeling because you're moving around, you're fighting, but you're also resting, you're taking care of missions, you're rolling dice to add mission points, and I don't know the actual terminology for it, but you're adding points to the mission. It may be something like go to South or Western Australia and fight the lab there. If you roll this many dice, add this many successes to this lab. If you roll this symbol, it means the lab explodes and everybody there takes a whole lot of damage. Now you can split that up. So there's a lot of play, a lot of thematic play in this. You're going to keep playing and keep doing these actions, but what's interesting is you're going to take one action at a time. So you're going to get a certain amount of actions based on player count. So you won't be going, okay, I'll move and then I'll attack. You'll say, okay, I'll move for my action. Somebody else will go, somebody else will go, somebody else will go, then it's back to you. Okay, now I'm going to fight. What's great is, though, the enemies do not activate until everybody is completely out of activations, which is cool because it essentially, because you're zoomed out so much in this game, you're almost playing as like Nick Fury or the Watcher, right? You're watching all of this happen slowly and it's taking place. Your action, maybe we're going to fly from South Asia to Middle East. And all those sorts of things happen slowly. So again, like I said, it's a zoomed out, big Avengers mission, which is pretty great. So that's how you play Dagger, more or less. If you want to know the specific little tiny rules about, adjacency and all that, watch Fantasy Flight's version. They do a fantastic overview and how to play. It's a little long, But let me also tell you, this game is a little long. So just know this isn't something you're going to play for an hour. You need to plan to set this up and say, we're playing Dagger tomorrow. Who do you want to play and who do you want to fight against? And then when you get there, have it all ready on the table. So I should have said that in the final thoughts instead of just talking spider hand here. But just know it's a long game, so prep ahead. But let's talk final thoughts. All right, so that is Marvel Dagger. I'm not sure why I have such a harsh shadow. My lights are in a weird place today, and I still hadn't replaced my ring light yet for that one. But we'll just kick Cody up a little bit higher. Anyway, Marvel Dagger is, first of all, we talk art direction, and then gameplay. Now, as art direction goes for this game, I would like to say that it is a good-looking game, except the board. The board's not bad. It's just too big. You could have sized down these pieces, these spots on the board, and made room for deck places on the board. I would much prefer put this deck here, put this deck here, instead of just having to add those on, because this also takes up a lot of space in your play area because you have 2 mats and all the things you need to collect. So it does take up a lot of room on the table. So I said it in the overview and I'll say it just one more time here. You need to make sure you plan ahead to play this game. It is not something you go, oh, what are we going to play? Do we want to play Sagrada? No, let's play Marvel Dagger. It is not that type of game. You got to play ahead, plan ahead, and you got to get ready. You can even ask people ahead of time, hey, who do you want to play as? What role do you want to be? And who are we fighting against? Then the person can set it up. You go do your hors d'oeuvres, you have your food, whatever, your wings, your nice hot sauces, and all that sort of stuff. And then you come in here and play. So just know that it eats a table and it eats time. But that's not a bad thing if you know that ahead of time. Twilight Imperium is my number 1 or 2 or 3 game, depending on which day it is, right? So I'm okay with that, but you got to plan ahead. So art in this game looks good. All the animations all the illustrations look really, really good in this game. I think they're solid. It looks like circa 2017 comic book style. Would I rather see a Jim Lee style? Absolutely. A Jason Fabok style? I totally would, but I'm okay with this. This looks really good, and everything is clear what you do, right? Even highlighting the actions that you can boost, even though they already tell you can boost, is smart. So that's more art direction, but as far as the art direction in this game, everything seems pretty straightforward. You know, the symbols are easy, and there's a quick guide to what this stuff does on the locations that you can do the actions on. That's the thing I forgot to mention. You can do actions in 3 places, or 4 places really. Missions, the hubs, kind of the main places in each region, and then on your 2 cards. So that's 4 places you can do. And you spend those actions to activate. So all of the symbology makes sense. It's all very straightforward. It's all very easy to learn what it does, and it does a good job of that. And again, I would recommend watching the Fantasy Flight video on this. Now, gameplay. The game is very fun. Like, it's really good. It is long, right? But you know that ahead of time. And thankfully, when you play, you can mitigate a lot of the irritations of former Eldritch games in which you've got to plan that round. And then all of a sudden a mission comes and you go, well, that jacks up our plan for 2 rounds. Thankfully, these are a little easier to accomplish. And yes, you do get beat up for not doing those missions on time, but having the team up track is a pretty cool thing, right? You're helping here so that somebody else can do something elsewhere. I think that's a really cool mechanic, and I'm glad the team up track exists. It's a shared resource pool to where people go, hey, I can spend 8 to just basically stop threat from happening. And that is a really good one. Make sure you play with whoever has that. But all in all, the game is fun. It can get a little tedious when a whole bunch of enemies come out and you got to go find those enemies and put them there and put them out. But it's a good game. Like, it really does feel like Eldritch Horror, and I love that game without all the reading. And by that I mean the event cards themselves. Everybody doesn't get a single event for where they go. You know, you're not pulling a single card for a deck and all that. It eliminates a lot of the tediousness of kind of that Kniska era, which I like, but also streamlines it to where you really feel like you're playing as a team of Marvel superheroes in a zoomed out version. You're not right there fighting like in a HeroClix in a Street Battle or Crisis Protocol. You're zooming out almost like you're the watcher, watching the game or watching the mission happen and seeing how things unfold all across the globe. So that's a pretty cool thing to me. Very fun game, very good looking game. I think we're going to be playing this one for a while. And I don't just mean we, I mean a lot of people are going to be playing this for a while because it does have just a great appeal to it in the fact that it's Marvel. I love the legacy idea that if your character gets damaged, you flip over and you take the role of somebody else. You take up that mantle. That is such a cool thing. I haven't seen a lot of games do that. Instead of just being like, oh, you're injured and now you're kind of weaker. Instead, you're like, you're injured. Well, now you're Jane Foster and she has slightly different powers. The same thing with everybody else. So I really like that aspect. Marvel Dagger is a win. Go pick this up. Check it out. Play it. Just know ahead of time you need 3 to 4 hours. You need to prep everybody for that, and you need a good team that you can have fun with and play. So that is Marvel Dagger. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Dice Tower Brian. Until next time, I'll see you. Avengers